high and wide.
Do you listen to podcasts? We're making one. You listen to one?
No. Does Column Institute count?
Yeah, why not?
I was listening a lot to Crash and Flow. Yeah, see and say it.
Love
Yeah.
it.
But these days it's been a lot of Column Institute. So I just finished Surukaf,
Mashallah, bro.
I know. I don't like to brag about it.
Go on.
That's it. That's all I got.
No, come on, tell us.
Column Institute is an awesome podcast.
Yeah, solid. Mashallah.
I really like following Sheikh Abdurrahman Murphy. He's jokes too. Even my kids in the morning when we're driving to school, Zakaria, who's 8, is like, "Oh, he really makes me laugh. I like his jokes."
No way.
I was like, "Good, all right. This is the feeling that you have when I'm listening to an Islamic lecture. I'm okay with that."
That's really nice.
Yeah, even though most of it, what we're discussing, might be going over their heads, but he just knows that it's funny and he likes it.
What a nice feeling to have associated with an Islamic lecture.
Right?
It's slightly different than what I think.
What?
What the more common experience?
What's the common experience?
A list of ways to get into Jahannam,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like here's a list of 40 ways you're doomed for hell.
Yeah. Or a friend of ours actually literally getting beat in madrasa.
Oh, legendary.
Yeah, right?
Classic.
Or like the coat hangers would come out and just he gets mad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, poor guy.
So this is infinitely better than that feeling.
Certainly, yes. Dear viewer or listener, back in the day, we had Islamic school. I went to Islamic school, and it's actually specifically part-time summer Islamic school.
We were what, 11, 12 years old maybe?
So yeah, probably something like that. And one of our friends who was also attending with us, I think he like flipped the bird.
Yes, he did.
To another kid, and then Qari Saab saw him and slapped him 3 times across the face. Right?
He did the backhand too.
He did that. Yeah, that was.
We laugh now.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I think that, you know what, that probably counts as trauma for the poor guy.
100%. I mean, you would know best, so tell us.
Probably
Does it
does.
count as-
I mean, depends on his relationship with that experience, you know. But
Yeah.
damn, that was rough, man. Right. But that's really back to the podcast. Sorry, that's really nice that you kids are acquainted with it too, and they like it. That's awesome.
Because we moved into our parents, a few months ago. Because we're twins, we have the same parents. So in classic millennial fashion, my wife and I moved in to our parents' place.
Yeah.
To try and save up for a house in this city.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna request to like get this edited after or not. Similarly, in millennial fashion. Actually, I don't know if this is millennial fashion. I don't know what this is. We also did the same thing.
Yes.
Right. When I did the psychotherapy change, the career change, then our lease was coming up anyways.
Yep.
Our rental place. So ended that, and then we actually moved in with my in-laws.
My landlord had raised the rent by $500 in a month.
Damn.
And we're like, "Hey man, you can't do this because of X, Y, and Z. Here's the law."
2% or something?
Yeah, exactly. We're like, "Here's some laws," and they said, "Tough shit." They said, "You don't think we have a lineup of people that are willing to take this house?" Because we do. And so we did fight with them for a bit, but then in the end, me and Abu had been saying for a while, like, "Why don't you guys come and live with us?"
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Yeah, this finally makes sense." So we're trying to save up for a house because it took us 10 years to finally pay off our student loans because we got married. 10 years, this spring, it'll be 10 years that we'll be married. Alhamdulillah. So when we got married, we had like 80K in debt. Finally paid that off, and then we looked around. We're like, okay, we got 3 kids. Let's maybe start saving up for a house in this ridiculous city. So we're trying to do that. But we started this. I started talking about this because of Qalam Institute to say that because our commutes to school are longer, I now get to spend more time with the kids, which is really nice. And so the questions that are coming up in the morning, it's like, where's Allah? Like, it's like,
I'm still going through my coffee.
It's 7:45 in the morning.
Where is Allah? What did you say?
I don't even remember, but I remember just saying Allah is like up.
Yeah.
It's how do you explain that to an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old asking, right? It's like two different audiences. But Allah is up. He's not in the world. He's up. That's all I could say. Another question I remember was like, so-and-so's mom doesn't wear hijab. Is she Muslim? Oh, bro, I assure you she's Muslim. But how do you know?
Yeah,
Well, I know because her son's name is like Isa. Her name is Maria. She dropped him off to the Islamic school you go to. Definitely. So we just that conversation and just expanded on that and what it means to be a Muslim.
I had a similar thing because we don't celebrate Christmas or Halloween or whatever, and we try to tell them as Muslims we celebrate this, we don't celebrate that. And so they said that our friend, whatever her name is, she's not Muslim because she celebrates Halloween. It's like no. But she is. Like, she's actually no. She is. Just because she doesn't mean
She's just not as good of a Muslim.
but she's Muslim. So that nuance is slowly need to update. I tell we have a Google Doc, me and my wife, with a list of questions that we anticipate, a list of topics and themes we anticipate we're gonna have to talk to the kids about. We haven't populated anything in the document, but it's there.
The questions are there.
The questions are there, right? But I know that every year, regardless of what we tell the kids, every year you gotta add a little bit of nuance to your answers
100%.
and software update.
Yeah.
We'll
crowdfund those answers. Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Crowdsource. Yeah.
Let's do that. Yeah. Where did we get here?
We originally got here because of trauma that our friend faced.
It's spending time with the kids and podcasts and Islamic lectures and qalam.
Okay, but back to the trauma. You would know this space because now this is kind of your field.
I suppose so.
You want to talk to us about your career change because we went to university same time. It was the biggest split of high school where I went to UTM, U of T Mississauga campus. You went to McMaster.
I like that you're still repping after more than a decade.
More than a decade. Yeah.
With the white hair and everything.
Lots of white hair. For anyone that hasn't seen me since that time, I have so much more white hair. I'm way fatter, right? Thank God this is an extra large. But yeah, back to school. I went for psychology. I ended up in supply chain. You went to McMaster for business.
I was a business student. That's right.
You are now a registered psychotherapist.
Now I'm in other people's business. That's what I'm doing. Yeah. I was. So you asked how I.
Yeah, what happened there?
During the pandemic, I was probably going through an existential kind of period, like many people, a lot of people were, I'm sure, right? Because you're just kind of locked down, so you're now I got to deal with the stuff that's surfacing that I could have just shoved away and set aside, but now I gotta deal with it.
That's the opposite experience I had during the pandemic, which is really funny because I was a frontline worker.
Right?
So
essential.
I was an essential worker. But go on.
Yeah, my condolences. During my time at Islamic Canada, one of the perks for employees was free psychotherapy included. Which is, first of all, that's crazy, right?
Good.
And there was no restriction on how much you want to use it. You were just here's free psychotherapy, have fun.
There was no limit?
No.
That's amazing.
I think I probably used I probably made use of it the most in the entire organization.
Yeah.
Because I think there was a time when I was doing maybe every week or every other week for a solid year and a half, I think.
Nice.
Yeah. So I made something, dude, it's free. This is valued at $180.
That's crazy.
So I made use of it. But anyways, my point, it helped me a lot, significantly, to just kind of sort out my thoughts and process the stuff that I was going through. And it was actually my therapist who said that, you know what, you already have a knack for helping people, for supporting them, and kind of being that moral compass and stuff. You're already doing that in a very informal way for the close ones in your life. But if you wanted that to take shape in a formal path, you would make a really good therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, get out. What? No. And I go home and I tell Rita that my therapist said this. And she goes, I literally told you this last night. And it's true. She actually did. She actually said, literally, she had told me the exact same thing the night before. But, sometimes it just has to be, a different person. By a third person, yes. Unfortunately, right? So I said, okay. So she had planted that seed in my head. And I thought, let me look around.
Yep.
Right? Let me look around. So I did. I found a program that was, registered and all that. And it gave really good experience at the end of the master's program. And you could apply as a non-psych student, right? So I was like, yeah, okay, let me try it out. worked my butt off on the letter of intent.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first letter of intent I had ever done. And I worked my butt off on that thing. I don't think I've ever worked harder on anything than that application.
Paid off.
Yeah. I'm glad I got in. And I was like, okay, I guess this is it. So it was a part-time online thing that I did. And then at the end of it, when the placement was starting, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to balance full-time work and the placement. So that's when I quit IRC, said my peace out, said my goodbyes, and I got into therapy. But it's not, I mean, I've only shared like my internal process of how I got here, but really it was, I know how meaningful the work is, and that's what excites me.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I think my objective is kind of like, I want to help men get to a better place emotionally.
Nice.
If I could sum it into like one model, it's that, right? Because I think there's a very big need, especially in our demographic, right? The South Asian, the Muslim, the third culture.
Yep.
That kind of space is really important. And it's just a big gap, man. You know, I don't think there's a lot of resources there. I mean, especially, this is maybe a field that I'd like to get into, which is couples and family therapy, which I think is very lacking in our communities. So I'd love to get into that in the future. But for now, just really helping people with what they're going through, emotional level, is kind of the thing. I used to think that would mean that I would be working mainly with guys, but I've come to realize that no. I think, first of all, more women always attend therapy than men do. But if you want to help men get to a better place emotionally, you're also going to have female clients, of course, too, because it's the whole thing. They're the moms, the wives, the friends, the partners, everything. They can't just focus on like just the men.
Nice.
Although that is ultimately the reason why I got into it. But taking a step back, it's the whole thing.
You are one of the very few people in our family that has a master's degree. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. Honestly, I don't even credit myself for that. That's alhamdulillah.
Praise be.
God is kind, and it's all the support and everything that I had. It's not even, it's not.
MashaAllah, brother. Alhamdulillah, brother.
But since then, since I got into this space, I know like a lot of people around me have become more interested in getting therapy themselves, friends, family, and like looking into it more. It's becoming more.
You had been pushing me to get into it, so I finally did.
That's right.
Booked some sessions. Thank you very much. It was really nice. It was really good. We vibed so well. Just went to Hello Lena.
Oh yeah.
And then just found one, messaged, and then we really clicked, and it's been really helpful. We've done a few sessions now.
How many?
4.
Nice.
And it's been really nice. Just being able to talk about, just make sense of what's in my mind, to be honest.
If anyone was on the fence as they're listening about therapy, what would you say?
Just do it and keep it light. I didn't want to talk about childhood traumas. So I was just like, hey, let's just talk about, just keep it light. So we kept it light, and we talked about values and what's important to me, and then what are priorities and what little steps can we do to get closer to those goals. But this was like a really good turning point for me. It's so important to have someone that understands you, right? You would know this better than most, but my therapist is she's brown and she's Muslim, and she's also a third generation or third culture is what I'm trying to say. She just gets it.
Yeah.
And one of the breakthroughs that we recently had was like, for me, life has been like a checklist. It's like, okay, graduate school, check, get married, check, settle down, start a family, check. And I was like, what's next? And then she had been listening for a while, and she's like, hey man, can I like quote something you said like 5 minutes ago? You just said, I'm drowning in parenthood. And now you're telling me what's next? She's like, imagine if someone was drowning and you pull them out, or they're still in the water, and they say, what's next? What else can I do? Can you just stop? And she's like, all of this, like what comes next, this whole checklist of life is a very like colonialist way of thinking, where your time was just being productive. So it was so funny for her to be able to just sit me down and just say, hey man,
Snap out of it.
Yeah, snap out of it, which is amazing. it helped a lot just for me to think, oh, okay, so like, what should I be doing? She's like, nothing. You can just enjoy like what you have.
mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean nothing?
I said, so
There's
what do you
things to
mean?
do.
Is there like who out there is not thinking what's next? She's like, white people. So I'm like, oh, okay. So like, what am I supposed to do? She's like, you don't have to ask that question. What do you do? What you want to do? I was like, I just want to be a good dad. I want to be a good spouse. She's like, okay. So instead of thinking of big steps, why don't we just focus on little micro actions you can take? So to answer your question, if anyone's thinking about what to do and they're on the fence about it, like just book a session and talk about something superficial just to get into it. And later on down the road, you can talk about bigger things if you'd like to.
If you'd like to, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you'd like to.
It's not going to be like opening Pandora's box,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Unless you'd like to open it a little bit more in the comfort and safety of a professional who will help you. Don't think that it's going to be like, all right, you're in that session, rip the Band-Aid off, tell me about, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to be like that, right? But that's really nice that you're kind of thinking change a little bit in terms of the checklist running out, and then like, why is there even a checklist? in the
Yeah,
first
for
place?
me, the last little while has just been trying to appreciate and stay in the moment. And that has just been different actions or activities in practicing gratitude, because it's through gratitude that I think I can feel like I'm taking a moment to appreciate where I am, what's around me, what's happened. And the goal is I'm not going to show gratitude for the big things. I am grateful for the big things, but for the purpose of this exercise, I'm trying not to say, oh, I'm thankful for shelter or water or safety. I'm trying to be more mindful of the little things that are happening. So like my 5-year-old ate today, or ate well, or whatever, something that I really liked happened, or just little things, so that I feel like I'm more present in the day-to-day, because it's been such a blur the last 8 years of just parenthood and trying to pay the bills and all this adult stuff, right? So that's what it's helped me with. It's been really good.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
You got to keep it going.
Yeah, inshallah, that's the plan. So long as my insurance covers it. Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah. Inshallah, it's covered by OVIP one day.
One can only hope.
I forgot to add, I was asked this question a few times, which was, how was it switching in your 30s to a different career?
Yeah.
Because I switched when I was early 30s. Honestly, it was a bit nerve-wracking to get into it, but alhamdulillah, for me, I felt like it fit really well. So it wasn't as daunting for me. Like, it just felt naturally like, yeah, this is something that I think is a good fit. I think I have an knack for it. It's a good skill set, and it's kind of like improving the existing skill set and getting there. So yeah, it was a little bit daunting, but I'm okay. Honestly, 30s is the new 20s anyways. Like 30 isn't really that old.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't feel old. Unless it's like past 9 p.m. Then I'm definitely, it's too late to go out. I need to sleep. What's interesting about what you're saying about career is because you're a psychotherapist, you are a thing. That's a noun. You're a proper noun.
Okay.
I'm not a proper noun.
Supply chain inventory analyst?
I'm an analyst. Yeah, I'm a supply chain analyst.
Yeah.
But that's not like a thing for me. It's not a noun for me. I work in supply chain. I have for the last 7 years or something like that. I really enjoy it, but I'm not going to stick around in it because I'm not a supply chain professional, or I don't consider myself one. I'm just here because I like solving problems. So I go into work and solve some problems, and I get out.
Yeah.
And then my next thing might be finance or IT or God knows what.
Yeah.
Where I'll continue to solve puzzles and problems.
Oh, who knows? Maybe maybe I decide, yeah, you know what? I love helping people, but maybe it's going to be in a different way than psychotherapy
Yeah.
in 10 years' time.
We spent a lot of money on your master's, so maybe just stay put for a while.
Yeah, maybe let's just get that return, right?
Is the goal one day to like start your own practice, or like where's this headed?
Maybe, yeah. Honestly, my goal is, as long as I can make an impact in our community, that's really the goal. And whether that looks like staying at an existing practice and doing my thing, or doing my own, I'm open to that idea as well. But for now, I think just learning from experts in the industry and having like, yeah, a place where I can just like really fit in,
Yeah.
buy into the vision. That's really my goal right now. Yeah.
Nice.
Can I suggest 2 podcasts?
2 podcasts. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, going back to the beginning.
Sure.
The Digital Sisterhood.
Okay.
Have you heard of them?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Have you listened to
I
it?
haven't.
Solid.
Okay.
I've only listened to 1 or 2 episodes.
Okay.
But really, really solid. I think they're actually like GTA based actually.
Okay. Check it out.
And the second one is Unsweetened and Unfiltered.
Okay.
So the first one is, I think, interviews with different guests and different topics. I loved it because that's not actually a input that I have that I didn't have. I have now an input that I had in my life, which is understanding like topics relevant to women.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have that, and I found that to be really, really interesting.
Okay.
And then Unsweetened and Unfiltered is also similar. Guest speakers and different themes, different topics, etc. But I would highly recommend, especially to the dudes listening, guys listening, just set aside your Joe Rogan for a second, for a couple days. Try just diversifying where you're getting.
But what about Andrew Tate?
Tom G? Yeah, but it's nice to diversify that input a little bit and get some like lived experiences, etc. It's been nice.
Okay. I will check that out.
Highly recommend. Yeah. We are definitely not talking about Andrew Tate and
Are you sure?
Top G. Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, I might lose clients, you know? So if I make a stance, you know, or
That's okay.
yeah.
Those clients
Either
weren't
way,
worth.
actually, funny enough, regardless of what my opinion is, either way, I'd probably
So you're
lose
just
clients.
not going to make any statements on many things moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's likely.
That's cool.
I might just deflect it like, what do you think? Yeah. You know, let's move it back to you.
Let's unpack that.
Let's unpack that, yeah.
Are you reading anything?
I am currently reading my first novel in more than a year, actually.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been like textbooks since then. So, Bunyan Moon, fiction novel. It's on
Fantasy fiction?
No, not fantasy fiction. But I am looking forward to reading Babel right after this one.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you?
Nonfiction. It's called Unreasonable Hospitality.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. I'm really liking it. It's about this guy who owns a restaurant, 11 Madison Park in New York City. And they were rated the #1 restaurant in the world. So it's about his story of how they took a regular restaurant and turned it into like the epitome of service and hospitality, and what unreasonable hospitality means, in the sense that giving people more than they expect. So it's like a how-to book almost for anyone in any field, whether it's IT or supply chain or medicine, doesn't matter. It's about giving people more than they expected, and how to create a team around yourself to help foster a common goal or a mentality, or a work culture. This is really interesting.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
There's like an example in the book of this couple that they came for this restaurant reservation to their restaurant after their resort trip had been canceled. So the waiters, like, they heard about it in advance, and then they flooded the dining hall with sand, so to make them feel like, you know, we're sorry that your resort got canceled,
But here's a little.
here's a little thing
Wow.
for you to make it special. Or there was a family that came from Spain, and the kids were just amazed at the snow outside. They'd never seen snow, and so the waiters kind of got a glimpse of this because they were watching. So then at the end of their meal, they said, "Here's brand new sleds, and our driver's waiting for you outside. He's gonna take you to Central Park." And
What kind of restaurant
is on it.
this?
Oh, it was rated #1 in the world, so like they have
Oh my god.
they have money, right? But it's just how to apply that mentality in your everyday work. It's just a really cool book. It's a very easy read. I just haven't been able to finish it because of life, but
Because of
I'm
drowning.
almost done. What's that?
Because of drowning.
Because of drowning. Yeah.
You gotta add that to your checklist. Maybe then you'll get it done. Right? That's awesome. I will borrow that.
My next one is called Squire by Palestinian author. It's a junior fiction, young adults fiction
Oh, that's
comic book.
Okay.
It's a graphic comic book about two warring states and a hero that has to pick between what's right and what's wrong, basically, and go against their people or something. So I heard about it on TikTok and I put a hold on it, and then I had forgotten about it completely, and then I saw it at the library, and I was like, oh, I need to get this. Just got it. So
Nice.
my 8-year-old is reading it right now, and then when he's done, I'll read it.
Oh, fantastic. A little book club.
Yeah, a little book club.
Book club with Zaki.
Yeah.
Oh, sick. I love that. You also had a big change in your career, right?
Yeah.
Going from essential to non-essential.
Yeah.
Just forgettable, really.
Completely forget. Yes, exactly. I went from being essential to forgettable, and it's been amazing. So the essential part was I was the inventory coordinator for a unit in the hospital. That unit is called a cardiac cath lab. So where all the Desi uncles go when they've had heart attacks, they go to a cath lab. You basically have a heart attack, go to emerge. From emerge, you're taken up to the cath lab, and that's where they open up your vessels using products. So I was the one in charge of getting those products.
This was the closest you were ever to fulfilling every immigrant thought that you did.
You know what's really funny? I thought as soon as I finished my psych degree, I thought I wanted to be a nurse. My wife was a nurse. And I was like, this sounds really cool. I think I want to be a nurse. I applied for nursing school so many times, like 4 times. I got rejected every time. And then I got into a supply chain role in the cath lab. Pandemic hit. I was there in total for 5 years. So 3 years, and then a pandemic hit. And then, I just found myself doing COVID response at this unit. And it was a large portfolio. It was like 700 SKUs with a $23 million annual spend. I was the one and only coordinator there. And I was just working side by side with all these physicians and fellows and nurses. And I was like, thank God I didn't get into nursing school. Thank God, alhamdulillah, God saved me.
Yeah, honestly.
Because I loved what I did. So I did that for a while, and then I got tired of it after a while, because like, how many catheters can you order? So I had put the word out to the vendors that I used to purchase products from. And I said, is there any openings? Let me know. So then the largest vendor that I had always wanted to join, it's the largest medical device company in the world. It's like 90,000 employees. It operates in 165 countries. Annual revenues, $36 billion. Like it could buy Pakistan. So I finally got into the organization. Alhamdulillah, I've been there for 2 years now. And it's like going from public to private. It's been so interesting. It's a load off in my mind. Everyone in the hospital, there's nurses leaving. There's everyone that works in the hospital. It's just leaving because you're so short staffed. There's no funding. There's budget cuts. So you're really putting on so many different hats.
I remember reading the story of it was a newspaper article of a nurse quitting her job and opening up a fried chicken restaurant.
Yes. Everyone's thought about it. Exactly. Like, it's not like I haven't thought about it. So I went into this organization, and I've been working in it for 2 years. So by the time I started working remote, I was 2 years late because everyone around me had already. So I remember when I got the job. Exactly. I remember getting the job, and I was texting you like, hey, what kind of chair do I need? What kind of desk do I need?
Oh, yeah.
And everyone was so settled in their ways of remote working, and I was so new to it. But it's been amazing for me because now working from home as opposed to going on site every day, and just
How much time did you save?
10 hours a week.
Actually?
Yeah. 10 hours a week. That was unpaid. That was me commuting. I was commuting back and forth downtown Toronto.
You had an extra 10 hours.
Yeah.
Back.
Yeah. And I remember someone asking me, like, once I had done that change, now that you have this time, what are you doing with the extra time? And I was like, what? Nothing. Why should I be doing anything? So that's going back to like therapy and stuff.
Yeah.
Like being grounded and being more in the moment. It's like, why should I do anything with that time? I've just been investing in my sleep.
Sleep's good. That's fantastic.
That's been more helpful, or just doing nothing. My time doesn't have to be productive. I think that's like a colonialist mentality. I can just be at home, and I now have the opportunity to drive my kids to school and pick them up, just be there at home. Work was really, when I was essential, it was taking over my life. I was like physically just getting sick. And now
That was a stressful thing, eh?
yeah, we don't talk about it much because my wife and I both were going into the hospital, COVID, coming home, decontaminating at the front door.
Oh my God, that was awful. I remember that.
No one wants to talk about that. But we're good now. She's still going to the hospital, but she's part-time.
Oh,
Because she's a nurse. But for me, I'm chilling. Work is like just one. It's like the Olympic rings. It's like one ring in my head, and then I have all these other like areas of my life where it's not like all encompassing anymore for me.
That's really nice.
It's really nice for me to be able to just go into work, do my whole supply chain thing, be an analyst, do my spreadsheets.
Yeah.
5 o'clock, I'm out, because it's such a large organization that I don't have to put on these hats because there's 90,000 employees that are doing their job.
You know why that's also really good is because it's not your identity.
Yeah.
And that means that you don't have all your eggs in one basket. Like if, God forbid, something happens, you know what? Just get another job. You're good.
Yeah.
And it's very like where your time and energy and efforts go is very kind of balanced and diversified. Family, all that kind of stuff.
And that's what I want to be. For you and me both, we're very family oriented, and we're very much involved in raising our kids, being there as present, as emotionally available dads. We want to do that.
That's the goal.
That's
Sometimes
the goal.
it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah,
That's the goal.
I know. That's the goal.
So yeah, good for you.
Thanks, man. This podcast is on Apple and Spotify. And
Why are you saying like an ad to me as you look into my eyes?
this podcast is on Apple and Spotify, and the video recordings are on Instagram and YouTube. It's produced by Warsha Studios. Like and subscribe.
Warsha Studios Podcast.